Hello and welcome to the section, How to Compose a Paragraph. Okay, before we begin, I actually want to introduce our topic. I often find that when instructing on basic paragraph construction, it often helps students to surround their thinking around a topic. So that way we can kind of do it together and not just define the components of a paragraph, but also construct a paragraph as we're going along. So today, actually, our topic is one of my favorites. I always tell students every single semester, I give them this writing prompt, favorite vacation. Why? Because who doesn't love a good vacation? Exactly. Some of you might be thinking about vacations that you took in the past. Maybe beach trips, maybe trips to foreign countries. It could really be anything you want. Some of you may even have your vacation picked as you sitting in a recliner in a dark den with a case of Red Bull, a large pizza, and a great video game. Sometimes that could be my vacation, so I definitely relate to you. But everyone has a favorite vacation, and everyone gets excited about thinking about their favorite vacation. So that's the topic I want to introduce today. This is the topic that we're going to use throughout this video, and also this is the topic that I want you guys to use in your actual assignment for the week, also embedded within the folder, How to Compose a Paragraph. Okay, so definitely look out for that. Check that out. That's due September 30th at 11:59 p.m. All right, let's dive right in. Okay, so when constructing a paragraph, you have some basic universal truths. I call them established truths. That's my coined phrase. So let's cover our established truths. First off, a paragraph is consisting of between 5 and 7 sentences. Sometimes you often hear that paragraphs can be 3 to 5 sentences or even 7 to 9 sentences. It really depends on the type of writing that you're actually composing. So if you were doing an extremely short piece that didn't really require a ton of writing or detail or anything like that, then 3 to 5 sentences is okay. It all depends on what your topic is, what you're trying to prove to your reader, which we'll cover that in a little bit. 7 to 9 sentences, they're more often found in longer pieces of writing, like giant research essays, or final capstone projects or something like that. When I was doing my undergrad, I didn't really see the requirement 7 to 9 sentences until I started getting into the upper level classes. So it really all depends on how much evidence and support material, which again we'll cover later, that your reader, in this case your professor, wants out of you. And it also depends on the amount of supporting evidence that your topic requires. Because remember, your topic is going to require a little bit of evidence, right? You don't want to start making lavish claims to a reader that you can't really back up. That's the quickest way for a reader to check out, right? When was the last time, think about it this way, when was the last time you read something by a writer who made lavish claims, didn't back up any of their sources, and you just took their word for it? Probably never. I'm just gonna hazard a guess, but probably never. That's what happens as readers. We're super curious, but we kind of want the work done for us, right? We kind of want to read something and have the writer's responsibility be to captivate us, be to draw us in, and be to give us the supporting evidence that's needed to really help make your claim, okay? So as readers, we love that. We eat that up. So that's why I really take favorite vacation as my introductory topic, because again, who doesn't love a great vacation? And it's one of those topics that kind of inherently draws the reader in already. If you start reading a paragraph on someone's favorite vacation, chances are you're going to start thinking, oh right, I have a vacation. I have a favorite vacation that I always like to take. So this is probably going to be interesting. Let me keep reading and find out. Okay. So therein lies, that's one established truth, that it has to be long enough to make sure our point is proven. Okay. So I say, I like that right in between 5 to 7 sentences. For me personally, because you don't really want too little or too much detail, which we'll cover in a little bit. But it's 5 to 7 sentences, that's a good middle ground for me. So let's deal with the second established truth. Okay, the second established truth that I always say, okay, is that your writing, it has to draw the reader in. Okay, your paragraph, it cannot be just a grouping of very simplistic sentences. Now, it's okay to have a simple sentence. Okay, all a sentence needs is a subject and verb. Okay, but readers require a little bit more than that, right? Readers require details. Readers require specificity, right? That's what draws us in. If I had a paragraph on a favorite vacation, and let's say my vacation was Waikiki Beach, and my topic sentence was, Waikiki Beach is the most amazing, tranquil place on this earth, and everyone should go there at least once in their lifetime. Okay, maybe that's my topic sentence. And then my supporting sentences is something like, it was great. We had a lot of fun. The water was blue. Okay. Now, those sentences are great. They're correct. Okay. But bear in mind, that doesn't really make for interesting writing, right? As readers, we crave interesting writing. Again, think back. When was the last time that you read something, that you kept reading something that you were uninterested in? Okay. And you might say, Mr. Renzi, well, I kind of do that all the time. I'm in college, right? You might come across material that you're forcibly supposed to read. Maybe not forcibly, that's a terrible word. But that you're supposed to read for a grade that you may or may not be interested in. That happens. But say it wasn't for a grade, would you still read it? Chances are probably not. Why? Because we have this thing called an attention span. It's actually pretty great. I think the average attention span, and check my work because I checked this a couple months ago. Maybe it's been updated, but it's around 3 seconds long. Okay, the average attention span. When I say that, what I really mean is that it takes a reader about 3 seconds to really figure out if they're going to keep reading or not. Okay, again, think back to your own examples. If you were ever a reader, when was the last time it took you longer than 3 seconds to really decide on something? And this transcends beyond writing and reading, and it can really apply to anything. That's how long we take to really make up our mind on something. So what does that mean for writers and paragraph composers? Well, you got to make it interesting, right? You got to hit them from the get-go with great writing, interesting writing, detail-oriented writing, specificity. Okay, for a favorite vacation. Okay, I mean that's like, that's handing you details on a silver platter, right? Why? Because when you start describing your favorite vacation, you have your thoughts and your words, right? And so you think about the vacation and you write words down, and your mind is making the connection that these words are truly capturing the essence of the vacation, right? Well, maybe that's not the case, because the reader doesn't have your thoughts. They don't have the benefit of your memories, and so all they have is your words, right? All they have are the words on the page. So we want to make sure that readers can see the vacation, that they can taste it, that they can smell it, that they can touch it, to really activate those 5 senses, right? That's what draws readers in. Now, there's such a thing as too much detail, right? Think about film, for instance. if you were watching a film, let's say you were watching Batman, because, you know, who wouldn't want to watch Batman? Say you were, you know, the film was going and Batman was ready, he was about to chase the Joker once again, and he stopped at the deli for a sandwich. If the filmmakers decided to put that little detail in, does that really add anything to the story? Well, it probably doesn't. That's why in action movies, when the action is just, you know, rolling along and we want to make sure the plot is driving at warp speed, you never see a hero eat, right? You never see a hero go to the restroom. Because why? Those details aren't important. And so there's such a thing as too much detail, and so bear that in mind as well. But right in that middle, just enough, being selective about what we convey to our reader about our favorite vacation, but making sure that we convey something. So that way they can something that they can latch onto. Okay, and I mean, as humans, we're curious beings, right? We love story. We're so drawn to story. So give us a story, right? Give us the details. Help us see it in our mind's eye. That is the quickest way to get an audience to keep reading your writing. Now, not every paragraph is descriptive. And so while I'm doing a descriptive topic this time, to kind of make it a little bit easier, not every paragraph is descriptive in nature. So it really comes back to this overarching theme that it's all about specificity, making sure your evidence is there, making sure your support is there, which again, I'll clear up in a little bit, but it's making sure that you put in the details, the research to support whatever you need to put in to make sure not only that you prove your topic sentence, but also that you keep your reader reading, okay? Remember, golden rule, if there's anything that I want you to take away from this video, is that when it comes to grammar, okay, don't be discouraged about grammar. Grammar doesn't make strong writing. Okay, I just want to say that right now. Grammar does not make strong writing. Okay, grammar helps strong writing become even stronger. Okay, and if and grammar mistakes can actually be a distraction to a reader who's trying to latch onto your writing. But really and truly, inherently, grammar has very little to do with making strong writing. Okay, because again, going back to the paragraph I gave you, the awful mistake where I said, you know, the sky was blue. The air was crisp, or something. It was just very, very short, punchy sentences. I mean, those are all grammatically correct, but that's not strong writing. Remember, we already established that we wanted details, that we wanted creativity. Okay, and that's what makes strong writing. Okay, your creativity, your thoughts, your own ideas, your beliefs, your passions make strong writing. Your voice make strong writing. Okay, so make sure, really, when we're doing this, okay, make sure your voice is there. That's the number one established truth to how to write a successful paragraph, is make sure your voice comes through. Okay, grammar and stuff like that, that'll come later. Okay, that comes with practice. Practice makes perfect. It's a skill like anything else. The main thing is to make sure that your voice shines through. Okay, so that right there is it's kind of a long-winded introduction to paragraph writing, but I think it's super important. Okay, for this video alone, I'm not going to take time to brainstorm a favorite vacation. I mean, I could tell you mine if you want, but I really want to take this video to really just break down the key components of a paragraph. And then later down below this video, you'll find an example paragraph of my favorite vacation. To kind of give you an idea of how I would construct it. I'll embed little comments to say, you know, this is this, or, you know, here's where I'm doing that. And so look for that as well. I've also included an additional resource on paragraph writing that kind of explains it in a little bit of a different way. And so be sure to check that out as well. Let's dive right in. So let me grab a marker here. Our topic is favorite vacation. Let's talk about the key components of a paragraph, okay? So key component number one, okay? The first thing we need in our paragraph, right, is a topic sentence, okay? Why? Because we want to know what the paragraph is about, right? Why are you writing in the first place? That's most important of all, right? You don't want to make your reader wait till sentence 2, 3, 4, 5 to really get the point of why you're writing in the first place, right? That's one of the quicker ways to help a reader, encourage a reader to check out and stop reading, okay? Because if there's confusion, that's grounds for just, checking out, stopping, and then ditching the piece of writing. So you don't want that, okay? You want to make sure your reader knows exactly what that paragraph is going to be about. All the sentences in a paragraph are unified among a controlling idea, okay? That is called a topic sentence. It's essentially what you hope to prove or claim about that paragraph, okay? For instance, if you're familiar with writing an essay, I liken the topic sentence, in many ways to the thesis statement of an essay, okay? A thesis statement, if you're not too familiar with those, is purposed toward breaking down the controlling idea or claim of a paper, okay? And when I say claim, I mean that word loosely, okay? I don't mean, in a sense, I mean argumentative, but I'm also aware that not every essay is argumentative in nature, okay? You have descriptive essays, you have expository essays, you have a ton of essays, but remember that regardless of whatever essay you're writing, the thesis statement always seeks to prove something, okay? If you're writing a descriptive essay like we are, okay, it's essentially taking your descriptive topic and proving something about it. In this case, favorite vacation, if we were writing a whole essay, I'd say Waikiki Beach is my favorite vacation spot. Actually, it's not, I've never been there, but I'm just using it as an example. So if I said that, then my entire point of the paper is to prove why it's my favorite. Okay, so in the individual paragraphs, I'll break that down with individual topics, all reverting back to that thesis statement, that controlling idea about why it's my favorite. Okay, so that's an essay. Now, a paragraph works very similarly, okay, but in a much smaller context. A paragraph, you've got your topic sentence, which is essentially your thesis statement in a larger essay. So if a paragraph was standing alone, okay, on the paper, and all you were tasked to do was to create a paragraph, then your topic sentence is like your thesis statement. It's the claim you wish to prove. Okay, it's the controlling idea. In this case, I kind of want to keep it simple. When you're dealing with a paragraph, again, you only have 5 to 7 sentences, depending on how short or long you want it. So you don't have a lot of room to prove an awful lot. Okay, and in writing, you don't want to leave any gaps. Main reason why is because in writing, the drawback to writing as opposed to speech making is in speech making, you have yourself there, okay? So you can answer questions about your speech and fill in the gaps along the way. In writing, you don't have that luxury, right? All you have are your words, so your words have to be self-sustaining, okay? They have to answer every question, they have to fill in every gap, and they have to really exhaust your topic in a good way, not a bad way. It's supposed to cover all grounds, it's supposed to clear up anything for the reader and really just drive your point home. So already, depending on what you're writing, you want to narrow down your topic considerably so that way you can cover it in the spans that you have. Okay, so when it comes to a paragraph, since you only have 5 to 7 sentences, you want to keep your topic sentence pretty specific and pretty narrow, okay? So I probably wouldn't use Waikiki Beach is my favorite vacation. Why? Because it's going to take a lot more than 5 to 7 sentences to really prove that, okay? So instead, I might bring it a little more narrower, and I'll say Waikiki Beach is the most tranquil place I've ever been, okay, or something like that. So that way, I'm not focusing on Waikiki Beach as a whole. I'm focusing on just the tranquility of it, okay? And in that, I could start describing exactly what's tranquil about it. I've got my 5 to 7 sentences. I'm golden. My paragraph can stand alone. It's good to go, right? Okay, so remember that as well. So topic sentence, we covered that. Next, well, you've made a claim, so what do you got to do? You've got to back up your claim now, right? So we've got the supporting sentences. I'll abbreviate sentences. So supporting sentences. A lot of times in conversation, you might have this referred to as the meat of the paragraph. Okay, it's basically a paragraph is a sandwich. The topic sentence is the top slice of bread. The supporting sentences are the meat and cheese and everything. And your closing is the second slice of bread to kind of sandwich it in. So you might have heard it like that. Supporting sentences do exactly as they sound. They support the topic sentence. Okay, that's it. That's all you need. Why? Because you've just made a claim and your readers are wanting you to back that up. And so again, for my topic sentence about Waikiki Beach being so tranquil, my supporting sentences will be exactly what makes it tranquil. So I'll probably talk about the waves. I'll probably the sound that waves make, the rhythmic crash against the shore. Okay. Sorry, that was a bit poetic, but you get the idea. The supporting sentences are only purpose towards proving that topic sentence to make sure that our controlling idea is whole, right? We don't want to leave any gaps, okay? So, and next, okay, there's really only 3 major components to a paragraph: topic sentence, supporting sentences, and then you've got your closing, okay? So your closing sentence is, again, exactly how it sounds. Your closing sentence really serves as a keyword non-repetitive way of closing out your paragraph. It's a summation of the points you've made, a rewording of the topic sentence, but in a non-repetitive way. It's basically like bringing everything to a close. The final statement. If this paragraph stands alone, this is the last sentence you have, right? Just as this is the first thing they read, the topic sentence, so it must be specific, it must give purpose to the paragraph, it must lure them in to keep reading. The closing is really your opportunity to drive your point home. Okay, again, in a non-repetitive way. You don't want to be repetitive in 5 to 7 sentences because it'll be super obvious. There's a little bit of leeway about being repetitive in, let's say, a 15 to 20 page paper, or maybe like a master's thesis or a graduate thesis. They have a little bit more freedom that way. But in 5 to 7 sentences, you never want to be repetitive because it's super obvious. I mean, they could see it right on the same page. So, a closing statement, a closing sentence is needed right at the end of the paragraph to close it out, drive your point home. Okay. One additional caveat to the closing sentence: if a paragraph is part of a larger body of text. So again, if a paragraph is one body paragraph of a whole essay, which will cover essays in a whole other section, super fun stuff. But if it's part of a whole, so you've got a paragraph coming directly after it, then the closing also serves as a transition point. Okay, it's your it's your opportunity to segue into the next paragraph or the next point. Okay, so if we're in a larger essay, and again, my thesis statement, again, being broader because we're in an essay, thesis statement being Waikiki Beach is my favorite vacation spot, and I think everyone should go in their lifetime. The paragraphs, the body paragraphs, okay, let's say I have 3, should cover the 3 major points that I plan to use to prove my thesis statement, okay, why it's my favorite. So when I'm, say my first body paragraph is about the tranquility of it, my second body paragraph is about the culture, maybe. Again, I've never been to Waikiki Beach. I don't really know about their culture. If they even have a differing one, or if it's just a tourism hub. But between those 2 paragraphs, the closing statement acts as a great opportunity to transition, okay? And so a closing statement for this would be, although it's clear that Waikiki Beach and the surrounding atmosphere is unbelievably tranquil, the culture really infuses it with authenticity and I don't know, richness, something like that. So you see, I'm kind of doing a dual focus here in the closing sentence. I'm wrapping up my paragraph, okay, and I'm making sure I segue and transition into the next paragraph. It's important. Why? Because in an essay, ideas should flow. Okay, ideas should flow from one to the other because readers want to know that there's some sort of rhyme or reason to what they're reading, right? There's nothing worse than reading a piece of paper where you're just super unclear as to where the writer's going with any of it, right? I mean, you end up checking out. Remember, 3-second rule. That's when you decide whether you check out or not. So that's basic paragraph construction. Thanks so much for your rapt attention. Again, look for the additional resources below this video. And I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Thank you so much.